Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter, and welcome to the Daily Check-In for April 28th, 2020. We're in the future, 2020. I feel like 2020 always feels like the future. And the future is, well, if we're being frank about it, it's kind of lame. So, what's the topic for today's Daily Check-In? The topic is the Red Hat Virtual Summit because that's going on today and tomorrow. I haven't had a chance to attend any of the sessions, but I am registered and I'm going to be attending sessions later today. Good morning, Vamsi. How are you? Thank you for dialing in and checking out what's going on. So I wanted to talk about sort of what my expectations are for the virtual summit and also talk about the fact that tomorrow I'll be participating in Tech Field Day Extra at the Red Hat Virtual Summit. So I will be part of a group of 12 delegates for Tech Field Day. If you don't know what Tech Field Day is, check out yesterday's Daily Check-In where I explained what Tech Field Day is and why you might be interested in watching it or even participating. So there'll be 12 of us and we will be getting briefings from some pretty cool people within the world of Red Hat. Some heavy hitters and also just some real experts on their particular topics. Now, before I talk about what I'm looking to learn out of this, I have a few housekeeping items real quick. The first is I was considering the idea of having guests on the daily check-in. Not every day, maybe like one a week, and just doing the same format. So, 10 minutes, real short, but have a guest on, have them talk about a topic real quick that they're excited about or that they want to get the word out about. I have a few people already in mind, but I'm curious what everyone thinks about that. Do you like this format? Would you like to see an occasional guest? Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments or let me know via Twitter or however you want to reach out. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. The other thing is I'm thinking about doing a Terraform Tuesdays where I talk about Terraform on Tuesdays. I'm curious what people think about that. The idea behind that was with the new Terraform certification and my certification guide, I wanted to just put some free information out there about things that you could study up in confusing topics in the world of Terraform and just do that on Tuesdays because it's alliterative and I like that sort of thing. So those are my housekeeping items. I also want to check in with you. How's everybody doing out there in Twitter land and YouTube land and the extended lands beyond it? It's Tuesday. Tuesday is actually my least favorite day because Monday you get a fresh start, you're excited, things are happening, and then Tuesday is kind of like the dip for me. So I'm hoping to just kind of get through this Tuesday, learn some cool Red Hat stuff. The kids actually have off from school because this was supposed to be election day. That's not happening for obvious reasons, but I am going to get my mail-in ballot pretty soon. Oh, Vampsy says do Terraform Tuesdays. So awesome. That will start next week. I will start doing some Terraform Tuesdays. And if you have a topic or a particular thing you want me to explore, let me know. I will absolutely do that. Getting into the wonderful world of Red Hat and what's going on with the Red Hat Virtual Summit. Like I said, we're going to be getting briefings on the different products and their roadmap and what they're looking to do for the next, 12 months and a deep dive on some of the new technologies that they've been coming out with tomorrow. What am I looking forward to? What are the things that I'm most curious about when it comes to Red Hat? Well, as someone who's used Red Hat on and off for years, I'm not super interested in what's new in Red Hat Enterprise Linux. I know that's like their flagship and the thing that really made them, but it's not the thing I'm most interested in because I'm net in the cloud, not net in the server. And the things that I'm really interested in are around the OpenShift ecosystem and the Kubernetes ecosystem. I mean, OpenShift is there's a lot of debate about this, whether it, adheres to upstream Kubernetes. Is it a fork? It's not a fork, but it has some extras. I don't want to get into that argument, but there is Kubernetes itself, and then there's their implementation of it within OpenShift. So I really want to hear about what advancements there are in OpenShift. How are they pushing the envelope when it comes to what you can do with the product? How are they adding in new features, especially around things like, so this is coming up more and more, multi-cluster management. If I've got an OpenShift cluster in Azure and I've got another one in GCP and then I've got a couple on-prem, can I use OpenShift to manage all of those? How effective is it? Can I do policy? Can I do policy as code? Can I deploy new clusters really easily through OpenShift? I haven't used the product a ton. I've, gone through the basic demo, so I really want to dive into those aspects of it because that seems to be where I see the growth in the market right now when it comes to Kubernetes is ways to manage multiple clusters and do some sort of federation. The other thing that I'm curious about is I know they've been doing a lot with the Open FaaS system, which is functions as a service. It's sort of an open source version of, AWS Lambda or Azure Functions or Google. Of course, I'm forgetting what the Google one is. Cloud Runner. I think it's called Cloud Runner. It's sort of that same idea. IBM had OpenWhisk. Well, now Red Hat and IBM, they're technically the same company. IBM's thing was OpenWhisk. Are they going to discard that and just stick with OpenFaaS? Are they going to go with some other third thing? There's Knative out there, which is another open source project, and I'm not sure how that interacts with OpenFaaS. So I really want to get some clarity on what's happening with the functions as a service abstraction in regards to OpenShift and their other products and platforms out there. I'm curious how OpenShift is integrating more deeply with different clouds and if it's available as a bare metal deployment in some of the clouds as well, and how it's working with some of the, we'll call them like the mid-tier clouds that aren't the big four or the big three, depending on how you look at it. But what about like DigitalOcean? How's it doing things or Linode? That's another good example of this mid-tier cloud class that is building their own Kubernetes engines, but also you could technically run OpenShift. So what's happening in that area of the market? So those are all things that I'm thinking about when it comes to OpenShift specifically. I also just kind of want to see how things are happening with the whole IBM merger. And I think technically IBM acquired Red Hat, but it really does feel more like a merger. I mean, the CEO of Red Hat is now the president of IBM, I think. And the guy who orchestrated the acquisition of Red Hat is now the CEO of IBM. There's been a lot of movement between the two organizations. So I'm curious to see how that impact is starting to affect Red Hat and what's coming out of there. So I'm curious about that. The other thing I'm curious about is what their reaction is going to be with the new stuff that came out from VMware this year. Up until now, VMware's had a pretty muddy story when it comes to Kubernetes and containers in general. And I'd say Red Hat has had a very clear story on that. They've got OpenShift. You can deploy OpenShift and use that to, manage your Kubernetes clusters and deploy your containers. Wow. Okay. That's it was a very clear message. It's a clear product. It knows what it wants to be. vSphere was still very much about virtual machines. Well, now there is Tanzu Kubernetes Grid, which is the component of the new iterations of vSphere and everything that is able to provision and manage Kubernetes clusters. And now it kind of seems like VMware's kind of eking in on Red Hat's territory a little bit. So I'm curious to see if they're putting any enhancements or if they've reacted in any way to what VMware has been rolling out. In my experience, just for OpenShift as an example, there is a very easy way to get up and running on OpenShift, like really fast. They have a miniaturized version of OpenShift with all the components. I think it's just called MiniShift, and it's kind of like Minikube. If you've ever spun that up on your desktop, it's just a container-based version of Kubernetes. So you can play around. It's like a little playground. MiniShift basically does the same thing. It spins up Minikube and then adds the OpenShift components on top of it. So you can be up and running with OpenShift and, banging around and checking it out on your desktop or laptop within, let's say, 10 minutes. It's really fast. If you want to get started with TKG, well, I'm not sure exactly if there's a cloud version of it or something that you can do, but I know right now I've been trying to set up the full lab running vSphere and ESXi and VMware Cloud Foundation just so I can spin up Kubernetes on vSphere on my home server. And that has been a multi-hour adventure. I'd really like to see VMware slim down the development version of it so I can just get a quick look at, hey, what does TKG do? How does it do it? So I think I need to dive into both OpenShift and TKG a little bit more and get a better understanding of how they work. And part of the discussion tomorrow will hopefully be into quick ways to dive into learning more about OpenShift. And I know there's also some live labs that go with the virtual summit. So I'm going to check out those labs and see if they're more than just a glorified click, click, click. Because the one thing I don't like about a lot of the VMware hands-on labs is they're sort of pre-recorded. So you can't deviate from the instructions that they give you. It's more of a next, 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 finish. And maybe you learn something along the way because you were clicking and typing some stuff. I far prefer labs where I can mess around and get things wrong, screw things up, break things, and then try them again. I know that can be difficult, but there is stuff like play with Docker and play with Kubernetes out there that lets you jump into an environment very quickly. And yeah, they put some guardrails on you so you can't break anything outside of that sandbox, but it is an open sandbox. You can do whatever you want in that sandbox, knowing that in 4 hours, it's just going to be blown up. It's going to go away. So you get this reserved little bit of compute for 4 hours to learn about a product, and then it goes away. So hopefully some of those questions will be answered. I'm going to put some links in the show notes to point you at the Tech Field Day page that you can go to watch the live streams tomorrow. And I highly encourage you to go check those out. Go check out the live streams tomorrow if you're curious at all about what's going on with Red Hat and OpenShift, because those are going to be basically the topics of the conversation. I believe, if I'm checking the old calendar, that it starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. That would be April 29th. And it goes until 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and this is Eastern time. So if you're curious, tune in then, and you can see what's going on. And I'm going to pre-record tomorrow's daily check-in because I am going to be busy live streaming through Tech Field Day. That does it for me. I hope everybody out there is staying healthy and staying safe, and I will talk to all of you on Thursday. Take care now.